Recording in progress and learning in progress. And so Boker Tov and happy last few days of Elul. My friends, I'm not sure how it comes and goes so quickly, but it came and went really fast. And here we are at our final Parsha before Rosh Hashanah, Parshat Nitzavim. And usually Nitzavim and Vayelech, this week's Parsha and next week's Parsha, they're almost always read together. And the word nitzavim means standing, and the word vayelech means going, or and he walked. And the combination is so ripe. It's so perfect, actually, for this. It's like such a useful paradigm for this, our lives, and for the work right now, right? So there are times to stop and pause, and there are times to move. And we spend so much of our year moving. And then this is a time to pause. And nitzavim, we stand, we stop. And part of the stopping and the standing and the going and then the stopping is the moment to wonder, what do we need to let go of? What do we in our moving around? What is it that we're running from, running toward? Let's stop. Let's remain steadfast, and then think about what it is that we're releasing. Right. So there's like the security of stasis, but also the need to grow and to move. And so it's that tension between the two, and we hold back. And I'm thinking about this in terms of tshuva, that one way to describe tshuva, right? T-E-S-H-U-V-A-H in English, teshuvah, but the root is shuv, which can mean return. It can mean again. It gets translated, tshuva gets translated as repentance, because there's no really great English equivalent word. But this tshuva process is reappraisal resulting in transformation, right? Stopping and pausing, and nitzavim, standing still, so that when we go again, we're going in a new way. And so I want to play with our parsha this morning, and I'm going to share the screen. Whoops, hold on. I did not set myself up. And I played a video earlier in our service. I have to go back and set myself up to share the right thing. All right, there we go. Here. So here is something from the first part of our parsha, Nitzavim. Right. And Nitzavim it's famous for choosing life. Right. And how do we choose life? Well, life has its ups and downs. So here, let's read a little bit. When all these things befall you, the blessing and the curse that I have set before you, and you take them to heart amidst the various nations to which your God, Yud-He, Vav-He, has banished you, and you return to your God, Adonai, being, Havaya, and you and your children heed God's command with all your heart and soul, just as I enjoin upon you this day, then your God, Adonai, will restore your fortunes. God will bring you together again from all the peoples where your God, Yud-He, Vav-He, has scattered you. Even if your outcasts are at the ends of the world, from there your God will gather you. From there God will fetch you, and your God, Adonai, will bring you to the land that your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And God will make you more prosperous and more numerous than your ancestors. Then your God, Adonai, will open up your hearts and the hearts of your offspring to love your God, Adonai, with all your heart and soul, in order that you may live. Your God, Adonai, will inflict all those curses upon the enemies and foes who persecuted you. You, however, will again heed Adonai and obey all the divine commandments that I enjoin upon you this day. And your God, Adonai, will grant you abounding prosperity in all your undertakings, in your issue from the womb, and the offspring of your cattle, and your produce from the soil. For Adonai will again delight in your well-being, as in that of your ancestors, since you will be heeding your God, Adonai, and keeping the divine commandments and laws that are recorded in this book of teaching, once you return to your God, Adonai, with all your heart and soul. Okay, so we read this, and we're used to hearing the Deuteronomic theology, right? The if-then, if you obey, blessing, and if you don't obey, curse. And we're used to that because that's one of the theologies that's presented over and over again in the Torah, the Deuteronomic theologian, right? Whoever the author or authors of Deuteronomy were, was really into that kind of punishment and reward idea of relationship with God. And I think it's a tricky one for us as modern people. And so I want to think about how we might reread this, and B, why we're reading it, or how we might read it now while we're doing this tshuva work, right? So one thing is to notice the blessings and the curse. How do we attain them? Well, we attain them by somehow returning to God, right? You return to your God. And now actually let's notice how many times that verb teshuva, shuv is the root, shin vav bet, right? That's the root of the word teshuva. And look how many times in the Hebrew, I highlighted it in the English, but all of this bold, it turns out that in our parsha, 7 times, this beautiful number 7, in this passage alone, 7 times we get the root of tshuva, right? So it's like the text is telling us, do tshuva, do tshuva. And so here's where it comes out. Take these words to heart, take Torah to heart, right? Return to your God. Restore, that's again, that same word, restore, again, we're at it again. Thank God we've been given another year, and at it again. And that againness that we talked about last week a little bit, which is like our lists might not be so different. We're back. We're still working on that quality, that midah, that thing, that relationship, that inner quality again. Yeah, again, right? And here it is, again and again. And finally, once you return to your God with all your heart and soul. So our parsha is inviting us. It's still, in its own narrative, and there's something else happening too, but it's actually inviting us to do tshuva. And so what is tshuva? Let's go a little deeper. Here's the Hebrew. We could play with that. But I wanted to invite us to think about what tshuva is, and then I'll put up some questions and we'll have a chance to think or journal a little bit on our own, and then I'll do some breakout rooms, and then we'll talk as a group. But here's Rabbi Adin Seinsaltz suggesting that God created tshuva before creating the world. The implication of this remarkable statement is that repentance is a universal, primordial phenomenon and has 2 meanings. One is that it is embedded in the root structure of the world. The other is to teach that before humanity was even created, people have been given the possibility of changing the course of their lives. In the latter sense, repentance is the highest expression of the divinity within us, the capacity to choose freely. One can extricate oneself from the binding web of one's life, from the chain of causality that otherwise compels one to follow a path of no return. We are on the path of return of tshuva. So here are some questions to get us to think. And I'm grateful to Rabbi Lenore Bohm, who actually informed all of our sessions. I based our 4 sessions on some of her really beautiful Torah work. So thank you, Rabbi Bohm. And so here's our question, or our set of questions. It is important to note that tshuva is not an event, but a process, an awakening of mind or heart to the recognition that something is off-center, toxic, or strangely exhausting. And so here's our question. In whose presence do I feel I need to pretend? Why am I always making excuses about not showing up for this or that responsibility? About what issues or opportunities have I become cynical or bitter? What painful truths about my life do I not have time to explore, right? Because not having time is a way of avoiding, So I'm going to mute myself and pick up a pen and, put the questions back up and give us all a chance to have a few moments to reflect in our hearts.